Hello, and welcome to Ending Physician Overwhelm. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Mello. I'm a family and obesity medicine physician, as well as a certified life coach for physicians. In this podcast, we talk about how the learned habits of people-pleasing, perfectionism, and a lack of boundaries show up in our lives and how they contribute to burnout, exhaustion, and overwhelm. The healthcare system is broken, my friends, but let's not wait for it to be fixed in order to feel better. How many times in your career have you held positive emotions hostage to some kind of achievement? Raise your hand if this sounds anything like you. I'll feel happy when my notes are closed. I can finally get some rest when all the work is done. People will respect me when I'm attending. We could probably fill notebook after notebook with these ideas that we get planted in our head about how we're going to feel when X, Y, or Z thing is accomplished. And unfortunately, as we're going to talk about today, this state is harming us, right? It's got some real in the moment implications, but it also keeps us in this perpetual state where we do not have the experience of the positive emotions and we don't know how to feel them. So if that sounds anything like what you are going through, then, buckle up. We're going to talk about it today. When I think back to how things were during residency, during medical school, we were always anticipating how we would feel once we achieved that next step. It might have been something like, I'm going to feel smart enough when I finally pass this test. Or things are going to be easier when I'm attending and I don't have to do all the work that a resident has to do. I can't tell you how many times my thoughts would end up in that place where I just assumed that what I would feel would be so much better than what I had access to. But here's the truth, my friends. We have access to all of the emotions pretty much at all times. Now, you're not, of course, going to feel every emotion possible at any given moment. And there may be situations going on where, it is not realistic for you to feel positive emotion. But unfortunately, this mindset where we're constantly attaching our emotions to different achievements keeps us in this place where we have very little experience in having positive emotions, in being able to hold them. And we struggle to feel better. We struggle to take care of ourselves. We struggle to put down the tasks and actually enjoy our lives. This is a lot of the work that I do with women physicians, is trying to figure out, why are we so stuck that this thing has to be done in order for me to feel that? Sometimes, of course, we're going to work on improving our effectiveness and setting boundaries and letting go of specific tasks. But we also need to spend some time practicing actually feeling good, actually allowing positive emotions to be there, because we're pretty bad at it, turns out. We're pretty bad at feeling relaxed, feeling fun, feeling joy. The focus during our training on being vigilant, frankly, being anxious, being attentive, being thoughtful and curious over and over and over again, being wakeful, right, keeps us in this state of perpetual anxiety. It's no wonder that we struggle when we are trying to relax, when we're trying to feel better. But we have to see all the dynamics at play here in order to really make some progress. So today I want to share with you sort of three main ways that this shows up and the reasons why we need to do a little work to kind of uncouple our emotions to our achievements. The first one is that this conditional thinking of if and when really keeps us postponing emotions, especially positive ones. Now, this ties into the arrival fallacy, which is the belief in positive psychology where I will feel happy, contented, good enough, worthy, relaxed when, and then insert the achievement. It might be when I become an attending, when I become a parent, when I have a new house, when I get married, when I have my dream job. We believe that we're going to feel a certain way in response to an event or an achievement. And although we will have a bump up in some positive emotions typically when we have that achievement, it is temporary. We adjust, we adapt. This is just normal. Hedonic adaptation, if you want to get really wonky on your psychology terms, right? This idea that once we have achieved that, and that is our new normal, that we go back to our baseline. We see this with lottery winners where there might be initial, periods of joy and just elation, right, with having won so much money. But then pretty quickly people settle back into their baseline. Other interesting phenomenon there, but this is not an episode about lottery winners. It's about us. So we won't go down that rabbit hole. Think about things that you have accomplished or achieved. Graduating residency or fellowship, perhaps becoming a parent, perhaps getting married, perhaps starting your own business. There are definite things that you felt in response to those achievements, and those things are valid and real. Probably mostly positive, although there might be some conflicting emotions in there as well. But when we think I'm going to be in a permanent state of restfulness and ease and fun and happiness when I've achieved that thing, it's just not reality. No one lives in a perpetual state, and we know that intellectually. And yet, how often are we still withholding those positive emotions until we have achieved this thing? We have to spend some time practicing feeling those positive emotions to relearn what it feels like to actually experience them. Let's think about this in real life context. You go on vacation. You are away from your clinical responsibilities. Perhaps you achieve that magic state where your notes are closed, your inbox is empty and being watched by somebody else, and yet you just can't relax. What is going on? You probably have some degree of anxiety and hypervigilance, worrying, did they say they're really going to cover my box? What happens if patient Mrs. Jones experiences, this outcome that we're worried about, right? In part, we are more comfortable with those anxieties because we are so well trained in them, but we also don't really know how to hold relaxation. We don't know how to allow our thoughts to rest. We don't know how to just sit back and enjoy ourselves. This is a common experience that people have. It is a common thing that I hear from, fellow women physicians and clients. And in order to feel good, we need to actually allow some time practicing feeling good now. Really enjoying that sip of coffee. Connecting with friends and really feeling seen and heard. Finding something absolutely delightful. I'm not talking about doom scrolling or, numbing out on social media. I'm actually talking about feeling actual delight, right? Where you're giddy and tickled and maybe in awe of whatever it is that you're seeing. Spend some time allowing those emotions to be there, right? So that you don't believe that those emotions are reserved for only the times when you have achieved X, Y, or Z thing. All right, number 2, we have often attached moral worth to productivity. And this is especially dangerous right now when we are seeing so many truly, truly immoral behaviors and relationships and things going on in the world right now. If we are constantly feeling that the way to feel like we are good enough, the way to feel like a good human, like a good physician, like a good mother or parent, or, fill in the blank, is when we have achieved whatever the thing is that we're attaching it to. We will feel like we are not worthy until that thing is achieved. And again, the goalpost keeps moving once we get there. I think right now, many of us, especially women physicians, I see this a lot online right now, are looking at people who have become elevated and famous and interacted with Epstein and other billionaires who have grossly, grossly abused humans and taken great advantage of vulnerable people. When we are starting to have this situation going on where we can see so clearly some immoral behaviors, and we're judging the people that we're seeing, especially in the physician space, based on what they have or have not achieved, we're often creating just these weird connections between, well, am I okay for the things that I've accomplished because I'm not famous like so and so, but so and so is famous. And look, he's consorted with, these other people and achieved this. It's not fair to couple these things. It's not helpful to couple these things. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know that you are a good, hardworking human. I know that because if you're here spending your time listening to us talk about physicians and emotions and taking care of ourselves and setting boundaries, you are someone who cares deeply about trying to do the right thing. All of us are imperfect, of course. And I'm going to make just a flat out assumption that you do not abuse other humans. You do not take advantage of vulnerable humans. You may make mistakes, and yes, we can hurt other humans, but you are not making the egregious, gross misconduct errors that these particular physicians have made. I know I keep talking about Epstein and the physicians in particular who are involved. I can't help it because right now, everything that we've learned is so egregious and disgusting. And we have to talk about it. We have to think about it. We have to show up and feel like we are empowered humans who are not about to tolerate that kind of behavior. We are not about to tolerate these men remaining in positions of power. They have particularly grossly, grossly taken advantage of other humans and participated in the abuse of other humans and or failed to make it known to the authorities. That is flat out immoral. And you can see if we are weighing our own moral worth based on what we have accomplished, it gets very murky in this system that we're seeing right now. So I know that's a bit of a weird tangent. And yet, if we are seeing attacks on these men and we are seeing them as an indictment on the practice of medicine in general, of thinking that we as physicians are in any way culpable for the behaviors of these bad actors, it is very easy to go to a dark place. And certainly the average person out there might be saying, hey, look at these physicians who grossly abuse their power. They might be making the leap that means that all physicians might do that or are doing that. That we're taking slush money from drug companies, or I don't even know. I don't even know all the assumptions that people might make, and I don't need to know them. I know, though, that we as good-hearted, hardworking, incredibly competent, capable, and caring physicians will often assume the burden of those bad actors, and we are not going to do that anymore. Let them face what's coming to them, and let's participate in calling them out. But I just, again, think that's very important as we are thinking about the connection between our moral worth and our productivity. You are not morally worthy whether you did or didn't complete residency. We can't couple that. You are not morally worthy whether you did or did not get that promotion, right? Or whether you did or did not get chosen to give the speech at a certain event, or if you're not social media famous, right? That has nothing to do with your moral worth. Your moral worth comes down to who you are as a person, the values that you hold, and how you represent those values. And we are all imperfect. And yet, here are some fresh examples, right, that are so public right now of people stepping so far outside the bounds. I can't even comprehend. All right. That rant is over. Let's move on to the third thing that I want to point out today. There is always another win. So if we get stuck in this, if this, or I'll feel this when, I can't feel this until, there is always going to be something else. We will always move that goalpost. Think back again. You were so proud to finish medical school, and then you started residency, and you start residency at the bottom of the totem pole because that's how it goes, right? And then we're saying, okay, well, when I'm done being an intern, when I'm done being a second year, when I've graduated, when I'm done being a fellow, well, when I am no longer a junior attending, when I've achieved faculty status, right? We will always move the goalpost. And so we need to step out of this thought again that I can't have this, especially a positive emotion, until I've achieved that, because that will keep moving. You probably were very proud. I hope you were proud to graduate medical school, because that, of course, represents such a big body of work, right? So much learning to have accomplished that. And yet, when we settle into internship, we feel so far behind, right? We feel like there's so much to learn within our specialty. And of course, this cultural hierarchy within medicine likes to make it very clear that we are on the bottom, right? So we are very used to this idea of needing to accomplish the next thing before we'll feel good. But the when we feel good keeps moving up. If we keep staying stuck in that, we will never get to the place where we allow ourselves the idea that we can feel happy, that we can feel rested or take rest, that we can find joy, that we can do whatever hobby we want to do. Imagine that we do things differently from here on. Imagine that instead of holding on to these beliefs that I have to achieve this thing in order to feel this other thing, we start to just uncouple those thoughts. I want to be an attending, and I'm also going to start practicing moments of joy and restfulness and contentment and delight right now. If I'm a new parent and I'm exhausted, right? And I think, oh, life is going to be so much better when my child is 5. But I constantly am sort of thinking that I can't enjoy the time now. Imagine if I chose to think, I love the way my baby's head smells. And I also accept that I'm so tired, because it's pretty normal to be tired when we have a newborn. If we can start to see where we have coupled these thoughts together and how we can start to uncouple them, it becomes easier to experience more moments in those positive emotions, right? We start to practice it, and it can feel uncomfortable. It can feel uncomfortable when you recognize that you do feel happy, and then a part of you is a little bit alarmed because you're not used to that. We have unlearning to do. We have emotional intelligence to regain. It's not a you problem. This is something that we see in people who have gone through the training that we have gone through. Does it happen to everyone? Probably not. But again, because you're here listening to me and we have these conversations, there's a pretty good chance that it happens to you. I know that this has happened to me. I know that I am still a human who is practicing it. I am still practicing noticing where I have unexpected time that's available and deciding how I want to spend it joyfully. Taking moments of rest, readjusting what I thought was going to happen for the day because something has shifted. Sometimes that's in a positive way, sometimes it's not. But I will no longer constantly equate my ability to feel a certain thing in response to a thing that I've accomplished. Of course, there are going to be challenges. There are going to be times that are no fun at all. Times where you are called on to be in the moment and no one would be feeling enjoyment in those moments. That's normal. What's not normal is continuing to hang our positive emotions on the achievement of something, and especially when we are very good at moving the goalpost. This is good work to be doing. This is part of the work of how we feel better. So many physicians come to me when we have our initial conversation and they say, I want to learn how to feel X. I want to get my notes done. I want to get my inbox done. I'm going to move jobs because that's how I'm going to be happy. And of course, we do some work on those things, but part of the work is figuring out, how do I start to feel good now? How do I start to practice being able to enjoy where I am, even if I'm in a tough spot? It's essential that we do this work no matter what situation we're in, because we can no longer afford to be giving so much energy to so many other people and so many other experiences and opportunities without being in our own lives, experiencing positive things, feeling positive emotions, having thoughts and beliefs in ourselves that we are worthy, that we are creative, that we are smart, that we are hardworking, that we are capable. We do not have to be infallible in order to feel these things, but we do need to unlearn some thoughts and behaviors. My friends, until next week, I wish you the best. Take care.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you as always for listening. To learn more about my coaching programs, head to www.healthierforgood.com. And if you love this podcast, please drop us a review on iTunes or support the show by clicking the link in the show notes. Until next time, take care.